Hello, in the second part of our Canadian Advanced Pilot License Flight Review, we will talk about flight plan. That is essential part of the flight review process in your daily operations. But before we will jump to flight planning, I would like to mention a few things that you have to get additionally before your flight review. So the first thing that obviously you will have to have is the drone, and the drone should be above 250 gram, and it has to be registered on Transfer Canada, and you should have really your registration number on your drone, labeled on your drone. So the second thing that you will need to get is 4 cones. This is to mark your landing area. Second, you will need your medical kit, emergency. You will need to get your landing pad. You will need to get your visibility vest as well, and it's really good to use it on your daily operations. And the final thing that you have to get is fire extinguisher. Now, this is not mandatory, but I really encourage you to purchase one, and just to show that you are really serious and to impress your flight reviewer. Now, you will need to have Class C fire extinguisher for the LiPo batteries that we have in our drone. So just purchase correct one, and I think I got it in Canadian Tire for 30 Canadian dollars, something like that. Don't go too expensive. And by the way, when I get on set, my flight reviewer actually had emergency medical kit, and he also had fire extinguisher, but not this one. He actually had like a pad just to cover the fire. So probably you can buy those as well on Amazon. It's not that expensive. So what is a flight plan? Essentially, flight plan is the plan that you're preparing before your mission in advance. And the first thing that you want to do in your flight plan, you obviously have to get your address where your mission will be happening. And let's, in our case, just go through the plan that I actually created for my actual flight review. And I will show you step by step how to make it and what you need to have in your plan. And for my plan, I was asked to do some roof inspection on this address over here. And for your flight planning, I encourage you to use Google Earth Pro because it's really, so you just input in your address and you fly into the location where you need to do your roof inspection. So in my case, it was this roof over here. And before we'll do the plan, so where we will be taking off, where we will have our visual observers, where we will, where will be our flight path, all of those things, the first thing that you will have to do, you will have to assess the airspace. And that is the most crucial part, I would say, because you need to know in which airspace you are flying. So in order to do that, you have to find out your longitude and latitude and longitude coordinates, which are at the bottom of the screen. So it's right over there. And in order to assess the airspace, you need to have the knowledge of VTA charge, and this is what Transport Canada requesting you to know to assess the airspace. There is simpler and easier ways to figure out what airspace you are in, but for the flight review, you expected to know the flight charts. Now, where we get those? You could purchase them from NAV Canada, like a digital copy or hard copy, but there is a free and easy way of getting them, and I will show you now where you can actually get those. And one of the resources where you can get those is the fltplan.com, and this is approved by NAV Canada as official resources for the navigation charts. So you will have to register, it's free, and you just go into your navigation tab over there, you go into the digital charts. Now here, in order to make it work, don't click on this one, you will have to click on this view charts option there, and it will show you the US charts map, but we don't need that as we're in Canada. So we switch here to the sections Canada, And in maps layers, just make sure you have TAC charts visible. So in our case, we are flying in Toronto region. So this is our navigational chart. And now let's actually figure out where we will be doing our imaginary roof inspection. So our latitude is 43.36 minutes and then 29 seconds, so we can roughly round it to 30 seconds. And the way you find out here where we are, so as you can see here, we're at 43 degrees 30 minutes latitude here, and we need 36, right? So we can just go over there. I know exactly where we are, but I will just show you. So each division is 1 minute over here. So if this is 30 minutes, then you will have to go 6 minutes up. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 30 seconds, which will be third, right? So it will be somewhere over there. And what you want to do, you actually want to cross like a red line over there where will be your latitude, and then same you're doing for the longitude. And you can do a print screen and just, you know, do the red mark over there, and I will show you how I done it in my case. But it's somewhere over there. And the next thing, you need to do same for the longitude. So let's figure out what is the closest longitude coordinates. Let's just find out. Yeah, so this is 79 degrees 30 minutes, and what we have here is 32.5. So we need to have 2 divisions more on that, and then just a half. So it's like 1, 2.5, right? So let's go up. And we figured out that we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and the third. And then additionally over here we will do 2.5. So it will be somewhere over there. And somewhere over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. Somewhere over here will be our operation happening. So you mark in that area as a cross, red cross, whatever you would like to choose. And now let's talk about where exactly we are in over here, right? So it's somewhere there. This is where we will be doing our operation. Now, if we will take a look at the chart, what we see here, let me just do a print screen. Okay. So we will be flying somewhere, as we figured out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and the third, so somewhere like that. And then it was like 3 minutes. It's not over here, but I know it's somewhere over here. So this is the location which we'll be flying in. And now let's take a look at the chart. Now, so this is the region of the airspace. In this particular case, it is Class C airspace, and where you can find this. And you exactly can see it over here, right? So this is Class C from the surface to 125, and that's in hundreds of feet. So 12,500 feet. And also what you could also see over there is the frequency, the radio frequency as well. It's in there. So additionally, we need to figure out what will be our closest airports and heliports. Now, in our case, the biggest one is the Toronto Airport, the Lester B. Pearson International. So that's the first one. The second one is the heliport Tartan, registered, right? This one. The next what we have is over here. We have Wilson Air Heliport over there. Also, what we have here, we do have Billy Bishop Toronto City Airport over there. Also, we have heliport over here. It's just good habit to mention as much as you can, like in 10 nautical miles. And that's, I think, mostly it for the heliports. Well, we can also have this one as well mentioned in our flight plan. So we know that we in Class C airspace, and for the Class C airspace there are specific requirements. So the first requirement is you cannot fly in Class C with your basic certificate, so you need to have your advanced pilot license, and you need to have appropriate drone which is approved for using in Class C, and also it has to be approved to use to be using near people. So for my Mavic 3 Pro, it is approved to use nearby people, nearby standards, but not above. So for the above, you will have to purchase pretty expensive parachute, which I don't have. And the third thing that it's mandatory, you will have to do the authorization request from the NAV Canada for your flight. Now, additionally, if you know that you will be flying nearby of 3 nautical miles from any airport, the certified one, and or a certified heliport, it's 1 nautical mile, you will also need to get authorization request from that specific heliport or airport. Now, when you're doing the NAV Canada authorization request, what they doing? They sending it to the control tower, which is controlling this airspace, Class C airspace. So in our case, the Toronto Lester Pearson Airport will get all the information about our operation request. But if, for instance, this heliport over there is less than 1 nautical mile from our flight location, then additionally we will have to call those guys and request authorization from them as well. Now, where can you flight all the contact information, like the the telephone numbers or radio frequency which they operate in? Now you need to have Canada Flight Supplement, and I didn't find free resources in that regards where you can get it. So in my case, I just bought the Quebec one from NAV Canada. The digital version is around 16 Canadian dollars. So I have that for my flight planning, and I will actually show you. But also on the flight plan, there is few of the key airports that you could also find those Canada Flight Supplement details. So let me just go again to the flight plan, and I will actually show you how to find it. So now we're back on the fltplan.com, and the way you find out the Canada Flight Supplements information for the airports, you go in here in airports FBO info, and you can search for the airport code, as you can see over here, or you can just specify, in our case, let's say Toronto, and it will give you the list of heliports and airports that we have in that region. And in our case, we want to get information about Lester Pearson International. So let's get info. And what we need to scroll a little bit down, and there is a CFS, Canada Flight Supplements, for this specific airport. So you just click in there, and this is what you will have in your purchase version of Canada Flight Supplements for every heliport or airport in your region. And they are divided in sections. So the Quebec one, for example, doesn't have the Ontario region. So if you fly in Quebec, you have to have a local one, and then for Ontario you will need to purchase again. But as of now, this is our airport, and what we're interested over here, and this is what we want to find out, what will be the contact information for this specific airport. And you can find it over here. So in the comp section, you just need to find your tower abbreviature, and then this is the frequencies which you can listen when you fly in this control airspace if you want. That's not mandatory, but you actually can listen for the radio, and I will show also resources where you can do it for free if you want to listen the air traffic radio frequency. And this is the emergency number which you will use in case any emergency, like a flyaway or incident or any accident or something which happened while you was doing your flight within this airspace, which is controlled by this airport. So also I want to note here that regardless of how many airports or heliports we do have in this particular class C, it's controlled by the tower. It's controlled by Lister B. Pearson International. So in case of a flyaway, you will have to contact this number. So just one example, for instance, let me just jump again back to our charts. So in our case, for example, right, we will be flying here, and I know already that this heliport will be less than 1 nautical mile from our location. And yes, you will also have to get authorization request to fly there from this heliport as well, because again, NAV Canada just transmit information to the control tower which controlling this airspace. So, but in terms of if you get a flyaway, for example, into direction of the airport, you will have to contact emergency number of the tower, not the heliport. In case it's some Class G airspace, then probably you will have to contact the heliport or airport where your drone flight to direction to. But in this case, you will have to contact that emergency number. That is important. And yes, each of those have their own numbers, and though actually are listed over there. So if you go just find the operator number. Yes, this is for instance the OPR section, and this is the operator number, and each heliport or airport have those information as well. So it's really good in your flight plan to include for every heliport or airport also the OPR section, just in case you would like to contact them directly rather than the control tower of the airspace which you are flying in. And now let's jump to our flight plan. And as you can see here, we have our location, we have our airspace, and this is the control tower which manages this airspace. So you have the basic pilot no-fly zone, advanced pilots need NAV Canada authorization, and you have also the control tower emergency contact. In the next section, what you describing below is all the airdromes which are in vicinity of your flight location. Now in our case, as I was mentioned, the CPY-5 is the Toronto Wilson heliport, and that is less than 1 nautical mile from our operation, right? And you can see also here I mentioned the control tower emergency. So that is the Toronto Lester B. Pearson Airport. It's not the heliport. So those numbers will be for every heliport in this airspace will be exactly the same. So now the Toronto Lester B. Pearson will be 5.4 nautical miles, so that is good. We're not less than 3 nautical mile, and we will have few others as well, and you need to mention all of the details, how far they are, what are the operator contact, and what is the emergency number which you need to call. Now let's again go back over here. So in case, let's imagine a situation that we're flying over there and we have a flyaway in this direction there, right? So once we will cross this airspace line in this region, this will become another airspace class C, and it's exactly there. It's just continue there, right? So that's the different airspace. I mean, it's same airspace class C, but it's controlled by different control tower. And in this case, it's now Billy Bishop Toronto City Airport. And in case of the flyaway in that region, you will call that control tower, not this one. So that's important. So you have to call the control tower emergency phone number where your drone is flying to. So for example, for this heliport, it will be this control tower because it is in the airspace class C airspace of this control tower over there. Okay. Now, how do you measure the distance? Well, that's pretty simple. So you go into your Google Earth location, and this is where we are, right? Okay, so how do we measure the distance between our operation location and the nearby heliport or airdrome? So you find in your location, and then you just go into measure distance, right? And then we have to find where our location is. So in our case, the Toronto Pearson is over there. So I will just measure this distance, and you can also switch to the nautical miles. It's in here. So you can just say, okay, nautical mile. So it is 5.53 nautical miles in this case. So we're less than 3 nautical mile. And you will have to do the same exercise for other heliports or airports nearby your location. So now let's measure the distance between our shoot location and the Wilson heliport. And actually, that's where it is, this heliport sign over there. And as you can see, it is 0.92 nautical miles. So we're in 1 nautical mile range. And we will have also to get authorization from this heliport if you want to fly on our shoot location. And we need to do it for all of the heliports and airports. And there is an easier way to do that. And for my day-to-day operation, I'm using Don Joyce Canada Pilot app. And I will also show you how it works. And it's really a great tool to plan your flight missions, to check the NOTAMs, to check the weather, to have your document there, to have your flight logs. It's a really great tool for Canadian pilots to have, and I really recommend it. It's one-time fee, and it's really worth to have that. Now, so once you have all your airports, location and proximity to a flight, you specify all of them in your flight plan doc, and this is what I have over here. And also I do have heading, if you see over there, where that specific airdrome or heliport is located from my specific location, and that is actually coming from the Drone Canada app, which I was just mentioning, and that's really great, right? So you have all of that. You have your airdromes, heliports, though that's part we're done now. Now the second part that you will have to check, the NOTAMs for the specific flight time which are available in current zone. Now this is particularly coming from the Canada Flight app, but you can also check from the official sources, which is the NAV Canada, and I will also show you now how to do that. So to check the NOTAMs and even METARs as well, you will need to go to the NAV Canada site by this link, and I will put it into the description. But for now, I will just uncheck all the things over here, and I will need to mention the airport. In our case is the Toronto ICAO code for the airport that we're interested in, and you just click in search, and you can see here all the NOTAMs which are currently available over there. Now, in my case, I was not asked to decode any of these NOTAMs, but you will have still to get an idea how to read those. Right, so what all are the sections A, B, C, D, E, F, and so on, and also what those means. And I will also put a description to other videos where there is detailed explanation about NOTAM decoding. But in general, this is the code of the airport. This is your date and time of the starting of the NOTAM. This is the end of the expected estimated NOTAM, and it's EST, it's not Eastern Standard Time, it's estimated time of the end of the, and then in plain English you will have as well description of the exact NOTAM. Now, personally, myself, I'm not going through all of these 31 currently NOTAMs we will have there. I will use Drone Canada app, and it will just show me NOTAMs which are related to the exact region where I'm flying in, and it actually show only drone related NOTAMs, because most of these NOTAMs over there is just not working bulbs or something not painting, or there is some sort of a crane. So you have to be able to explain it to a flight reviewer, but in your daily operations you will not necessarily need to go to the NAV Canada site and decode it. Right now, as we're now on the NAV Canada site, when you're doing your flight review, you will be asked to check the weather using the METAR, and this is really important. So you will have to understand how decode the METAR. Like, this is the current METAR for Toronto Airport, and like sometimes there is a lot of abbreviations, like these remarks and all of those things, which not necessarily related to the drone pilot, right? Including even the cloud, which is 100,000 of feet above you. But what I was asked to do for the METAR, and I will also give you the link to the app that actually decodes METAR, and it's just $10 Canadian one-time fee, and this is what I'm using for my weather checks. But I was asked to decode at least first important things. Now, in this case, this is the indication of the airport. This is the time in Zulu, so today is 29th of October, and this is like 16:00 it's PM on the Zulu time, but you will have to convert it to our local time as well. Now, so what we have here, the direction is 110 degrees, and the wind currently there is 8 knots. Now the wind also is variable from 150 to 120, visibility 15 statical miles. Now, regarding all of the clouds, unless it's rainy, I really personally don't care what is after that. And this is what mostly I was asked to decode in my case. But just practice it, and it will just help you to get used to that, and then maybe you will also be able eventually to decode all of those clouds information as well, right? So that's regarding the NOTAM. And now let's jump actually planning our operation in the flight plan. So returning to the Google Earth, and this is where we'll actually do our plan, right? So the first thing that you will have to figure out where you will be taking off. And I already have here the setup of my actual flight plan, which I was present to my flight reviewer, but I will just do it from scratch for you as well. So in my case, I want to place my pilot over here because this is the best location where I will do my takeoff. So you just also need to specify, like you can just choose whatever, the green person which will be the pilot. Well, let's choose this one. So, and that will be our pilot. So that's where we will take it off, and this will be our 4x4 meters takeoff zone. Now the next thing that we want to do, we need to paint a polygon where our flight will be taken off, the region of our flight. So I will just click. This is where our roof inspection will be happening. So you click enter. Now the altitude is important because now it's on the ground, so you hardly can see it. So you need to increase, like, I don't know, 25 meters, something like that, and then you will have to adjust your then you will just have to adjust a little bit your polygon because it's not, after you moved it, it's not matching anymore. Just cancel it. So in my case, I just done it something like this, right? And you can make it green if you want to. You can have color and also the opacity if you want to see a little bit of more things over there. Now, the second thing that you will have to think about is, okay, I will probably need visual observers on site just to help me with my operation. So in my case, I place one visual observer over here just to block any bystanders or people going through this area to action. And you can also draw a block path, which is this icon over here, so you can also change the color and draw it. So the second thing that I also added is the second visual observer that will block any people coming to this region, because there is a path nearby this building and these trees, right? So that they not what's going over there. Because again, you have to remember that with your advanced license and your drone, if it doesn't have the parachute, it has to be not closer than 5 meters from bystanders. So that is really important, because if we will fly over here and then suddenly the bystander is over there, right, it will switch to meters, so it's just 1 meter away from our drone. So that's not really working. So we're placing 2 visual observers over here, and then the last visual observer that I would like to place is somewhere over here, because I think from my position over here I will not able to see my drone once it will come to this corner over there of the building. So I just placed a third one, which will be standing somewhere over there, and we will obviously communicate via the mobile phone or radio, whatever tools we do have. And that's mostly it for the actual on-set plan. And what I also encourage you to do, so you can actually go to the Street View on location, and this is exactly our building which we will do the roof inspection. And that's what I was saying, right? So we will block some people coming over there to that region and then over there as well. Just it will help you to see any obstacle or hazards which you will have on location. In our case, it will be some buildings, some trees, especially over there. Like here, when we will do the flight, we don't have to touch those guys, right? And this is where I will also have my second visual observer just to block any people going to that path. So that's for this exercise, and you will have to print it out, and I will show you exactly how it will look like in my case. So let me just jump to my document. Now, in your document, what you will also need to mention is the authorizations that are required for your operation. In our case, we will need authorization from NAV Canada because it is Class C airspace. Now, we will also need authorization from the Wilson heliport because it is within 1 nautical mile. Now, it is not Class C airspace, so we're good in that regards. No COIR restricted airspace, so that's all good. Now, we don't need to have any SFOC because we're not doing any beyond visual line of sight or any of those, or for our drone more than 25 kilograms. Now, the municipal authorization, it would be required in case you will take off on some pathway with a municipal zone. But in our case, we're taking off from the parking that is private space, and we do have land lower authorization, right? So that you will have to demonstrate flight reviewer. And then it's a good way to also include your chart, right? So where your operation is happening, because he will ask you like what airspace, how you can explain all of those. Potentially he will ask you also about these regions over there, what those means. But one, if you will check over here, and it is again in hundreds of feet. So this zone in particular is from 700 AGL, and it is already below our operational limits. We just allowed to fly 400 GL without SFOC feet, and for us it is Class G airspace already if we was planning some operations over there. He might ask you as well about any indications over here, what, for example, these arrows means, and this is the patterns of aircraft flights, right? He may ask you about some obstacles which are indicated on this chart. So just be aware of that in case of any theoretical questions like that, and you should be really good to succeed in this first part of the flight planning. Now, let me just again jump to my document, and at the end you will just add your Google Earth screenshot where you will have your legend exactly saying what it is, and some indication what will be your altitude, what drone you will be using, and some remarks what hazards to avoid. So that's the end of our flight planning section, and in the next section we will talk about important things like checklists, because it's really crucial. Without your pre-flight checklist, takeoff checklist, emergency procedures, flyaway horizontal, you will not able to succeed your flight review. And in my case, I have this binder over here, and I will show exactly what I prepared. It's quite a lot of documents, so I will just go through all of those and show you exactly what you have to prepare in order to pass your flight review. So if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe, and I will release more videos that will be helpful in your drone journey. So thank you, and see you in part 3 of this flight review series.